Charity Kadhambi Chepkonye, Member of Parliament, Joro Constituency, Nakuru County.
Good morning, everyone. My name's Safia Abdi Noor, Member of Parliament for Ijara Constituency, Garissa County, and the
Lutesh Shojin, Order Recording Unit.
Thank you so much, Chairman and honorable members. Let me request my delegation. Let me request my immediate right. Then we in the ministry.
Rodney Omari, Assistant Secretary of the Ministry.
Dr. Winnie Musila, Kenya Water Towers Agency.
Robert Orina, Deputy Director, Compliance, NEMA.
Planning at the Ministry.
John Kipkorit Chumo, Secretary to the National Environment Complaints Committee, the Environmental Ombudsman. Patrick Kariuki, Deputy Chief Conservator of Forest.
Professor
Madam Jane Juguna from the Kenya Forestry Research Institute, Dr. Wamiti. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks so much, honourable members and the Cabinet Secretary for that introduction. I can see one CS you have decided to unleash the timeline of numbers of September 2019. And basically, we sought the following information from you. Number one is to provide the details of the proposed Phase 2 evictions of the Mau Forest. Two, provide information on the public participation and the sensitization process conducted to the affected communities in regard to the proposed evictions. Number three, we sought that you provide details on the total number of families to be affected by the proposed evictions, list of the people with title deeds, allotment letters, and or agreements, and those with no land ownership papers at all. Number four, the measures that the ministry has put in place in regard to relocation, compensation, and all resettlement of the evictees. Number five, the measures the ministry is taking to ensure that the school-going children, especially the KCPE and KCSE candidates, are not adversely affected by the proposed evictions. Number six, provide details of the area in hectares of the forests that have so far been restored after the Phase 1 and after the Phase 1 evictions, and the budget expended for that exercise. And lastly, last but not the least, you provide the details of the measures that the ministry has put in place in regard to the post-eviction conservation works, vis-a-vis the budgetary provisions, personnel, corporate social responsibility, and other logistical arrangements. Those are some of the issues which we are seeking from you. But arising out of the discussion, members will be able to ask other subsequent supplementary questions. But at the same time, this committee is extremely very keen to know. I remember we had a sitting with you earlier. You took us through the historical perspective of the encroachment of Mau. But we're also very keen to get the list of the persons who are responsible for expanding or encroaching into the forest. Because initially, especially in Maasai Mau block, we have the issues, we had the group branches, the boundaries were very clear, but when the survey was being done, that's the time now the encroachment started. So we are very keen to get the list, if you have it, or the people who are responsible behind the encroachment of Mau, and what the government have been doing, because we have so many task forces which has undertaken these exercises of in terms of conservation. What have the government done in terms of prosecution of the people who are responsible for the encroachment of Mau? So, Bwana Cabinet Secretary, at this juncture, I want to invite you so that you can be able to respond to those issues as raised in our letter.
Thank you very much. In your invitation, dated the 24th of July 2018, one of the issues that I was required to address you upon was, and I quote, the details of evictions happening at the Mau Forest complex, the rationale, the background, the strategy of conservation of the complex in a foreseeable future, and secondly, the status of restoration of the reclaimed land from the forest. You will note that those issues are not dissimilar from the issues to be discussed and canvassed today. I appeared before this committee as presently constituted, and I addressed the committee in great length, 4 hours. I tabled before this committee a report that runs into how many pages? Several pages, actually. This is as well as a summarized and a bridge version of that report, as well as a total of 18 annexes, which are here. I would want to believe, because in that report that I presented here, a lot of the issues that, Chairman, you have summarized in your current invitation are really addressed in that report. So from time to time, I'll be referring to that report, as I shall also be referring to the annexures to that report, which I have no doubt at all, knowing this committee and the energy and tenacity of the members of this room, that they have fully read and appreciated the contents of those documents. Now, coming to the present invitation, we have circulated a much shorter response this time, addressing the specific questions and also the annexures. Now, why are we here as a country? How did we come about here? Why is it so important? Because we are dealing with one of the most critical water towers in this country. We are dealing with a vital ecological asset. We're dealing with a source of several rivers. They're all set out in the report, and I'm sure you members and chair are already familiar about. Source of several rivers, including the tributaries that feed into and form the Mara River basin, Ewesonyiro, Sekinder, and others. We are dealing with an ecosystem that is a hotspot on biodiversity. It has unique fauna and flora, some of them endemic. We are dealing with an asset, an ecological asset that sustains life, not just for the residents of the county of Narok, where it is situated, Kajiado, the iconic Maasai Mara, that has recently been categorized as the 8th wonder of the world on the Mara River Basin. There cannot be Maasai Mara without the Mara River. And there cannot be, and I would challenge anyone who has evidence to the contrary. There cannot be a Mara River without the Maasai Mau Forest Complex. But it goes beyond Kenya. As a result of the destruction of this ecosystem, the consequences are only too obvious. Mara River is on its deathbed. Supplies water to the Mara Serengeti. Supplies water to Lake Natron. 5% of water into Lake Victoria, and of course, from there, the Nile, is from the Mara River Basin. 5%. It's not just for human beings, livestock, but also importantly, wildlife. Kenya has entered into regional and global treaty obligations relevant to this subject matter. In 2015, we signed an MOU with Tanzania for the conservation, protection of the Mara River Basin, which sustains directly 1.5 million lives, people. As we speak now, Chairman, on the 15th of September, that is in the next few days, we will be celebrating what we call, and we have celebrated since 2012, the Mara Day. We have celebrated it last year in Bomet, the other years in Narok, and for this year, celebrating it in Tanzania, a place called Mugumu, next to a swamp that from there drains into Lake Victoria. Because of the destruction of the Mau, the Maasai Mau, the quantity and quality of water that sustains life has diminished seriously. It is our responsibility under that treaty obligation to protect the catchment of this river. We will be participating in that celebration, and we will be hard pressed to explain why, how. I'm raising this, Chairman and honorable members, so that we can remove this myopic way of looking at this huge issue, as if it is an issue between tribes, as if it is an issue to do with politics, political formations, and political calculation. It is not. It is also a gazetted water tower. And I'm sure we will be engaging in this discussion about trust land forest. Others call it settlement schemes. We will be addressing that in the course of these deliberations. So what happened? In its original pristine state, the Maasai Mau water tower measured about 46,000 hectares in its original state. It was one of the 22 blocks forming the Mau Forest Complex. Then what happened? 5 group ranches adjoining. You have that list, where is there? Where's your book? The documents. 5 group ranches. I'll submit shortly. Then. Sorry, 5 group ranches. Sorry, Chairman, I think we're wrong. Looks like some 5 group ranches adjoining the Mau Forest were the following. And we will present in the documents, I think, one of our officers. We had a group ranch called Sisian Group Ranch, which, when it was created and registered and title issued, measured 444 hectares. 444 hectares. At the time when it was being dissolved, so title, it is registered, it has its officials, it has its title with acreage of 444 hectares. Did you make copies? Can you distribute? Distribute the copies. Now, when it was dissolved and individualized through brazen act of criminality, fraud, that area was extended or ballooned from 444 to 1,215 hectares, creating an additional area of, yes.
Leader? Yeah, Chair, I did not want to.
Next 9, we're just distributing it. So. Annex 9, because it was actually in my earlier presentation which I made last year, but I've just circulated a copy of 1029. Persons who claim to be the original owners. Original owners of that area that was created, ballooned area. You will have the names, all of them there in that list. It's marked, it's Annex 9. I don't know. So, Chairman, do the members have?
The ranch with the beneficiaries, or the ranch with the beneficiaries, or does it mean Annex 9 and 10 include all these 5 ranches? Chairman, to avoid confusion.
Can be able to clarify on that?
Means what it means is, it means it is these are the number of parcels created, illegal plots. If you look at the number, yes, Chairman, I think I appreciate where Honourable Charity is coming from. Yes, I think what we can do, and we'll do this, I think, proper. Now to segregate, to the best that whatever we can segregate, so that we know for this group ranch, which one? Because if you look at the last column on the right, it's illegal parcels. So that then we are able to, then we can indicate from this, again, lift from this list who form part of, yes, that we can do, Your Chairman, and I think we'll do that quickly, because it's a fair point. So for clarity, it's a fair point. Okay, yes. Sorry, I continue? Yes.
Chair, could I just ask a question on the same thing, please? Wanna see us through the chair? What you've given us on Annex 9, if you look at the first column, that is list of original owners. So I'm just wondering, because what we are really looking at now are the people, the area, the ballooned area. So I'm just asking, this list of original owners, are they the people who owned or purchased the ballooned areas, or these are the original owners of the original hectares of the ranches that were legal?
For the moment, we are not dealing with
List of ballooned.
No, the reason why we are using original, Chair, with your permission, we will come to the next document of third parties who, because these ones later on sold or purported to sell to others, and the number increased to this one, to 6,900 and something. I don't know. Is that?
Do you get it?
Just a moment.
I don't, but we go on.
Okay.
Because there's a problem there.
Claim. For the moment, we are not concerned about those who did not encroach into the forest. We are concerned with the occupation, purported ownership of the ballooned area. Because each group ranch, from this document, each group ranch expanded its size by a definite size into the forest. And if you look at this exhibit Roman 9, you will see, in fact, although we have not segregated, you will see which group ranch. I don't know. You will see actually that you have the name, ID number, division, so on and so forth, the land parcel number, and the group ranch. But they are mixed. So the point I think that was made was, the point that was made, can you segregate? But they are already there. You'll find, for example, the first one is Ngaroni, the second Sisian, the third Sisian, then Ngaroni. They are mixed, all of them. But we can, if it makes it easier for the members to appreciate, we can segregate. So put together all those in Ngaroni, Sisian, and the rest.
Chairman, without taking too much of your time, I think the mistake was just in how you categorize this, because
by providing a list, because from his talk is perfectly in order, saying that the group ranches expanded. So who are the owners of the group ranches? So that we know them, so that as we follow the story of expansion, we can see culpability.
Waziri, what we are talking about, So the original list, like the way Mwalosa is, you cannot use the word original in terms of, not unless you use original encroachers. People who encroached first. Because these are the original encroachers, then they sold now to the rest.
Chairman,
so that we don't get confused.
Chairman, that is a perfect, that is a perfect description of what these original encroachers. I think you make a fair point, Chairman. We will now, additionally.
Thank you, Chairman. I fail to understand. When we say the original owners and the illegal owners, do those illegal owners have the legal documents or illegal documents? So that is my question. Because I fail to understand if a person has either a legal document or legal document. Or if he has a legal document, how he becomes the...
I think it's important for us to know that we have not reached the stage of asking questions. What we are asking now is just clarification as per the presentation. Chair, classification of area here is in both hectares and acres, while the final figure is in hectares. Have you converted at the end of the day the acres into hectares? Because it's important that we are moving together. so that we understand this report much better. Thank you, Chair.
Chairman, thank you. I'm also seeking clarification acres and others that are nil acres. Now you need to clarify for us to understand if I have nil acres means I'm not supposed to appear in this list.
I present, what other gaps exist in the documentation that we have, so that then we go back and provide that additional documentation. Again, subject to your to your direction. Because the difficulty I have, Chairman, is I was actually trying to anticipate and a lot of I confine myself to the broad questions that were lacking in these specific details are now emerging as we go along, and if we could tag them so that as soon as we adjourn, we go work on them, come back, and I have no problem. I can be here for the entire month. Yes.
Okay, proceed.
Yes. So, we will now segregate them so that we know for this group branch and this group branch and this group branch. Now, the other document, Chairman, Exhibit Roman 10. This is 1020. Is it 1020 29? 1029 in total. The number. 1029. This other one is 6,965. Okay. Now these are third party. These are third party persons who claim to have purchased from the original encroachers, in respect of the balloon area. now, Chairman, out of this number, which runs to 7,000. Is it 7,000? 7,600 and something. Right. That is both the cumulative cumulative number of encroachers, the original ones, and then the subsequent ones. Now, out of these, Chairman, 716 have title. Do we have a list of that? In which page? Sorry? Where is page 4? And 16 have title, or what purports to be title deeds. Okay. Title deeds. And this is in page 4 of my presentation of the latest presentation. 700. 4,439 have what they describe as sale agreements. Sale agreements and letters of allotment. 2,741 have no document at all. So, if then you want to classify this into, and we will come to the argument about the legal validity of this. We have those who possess documents that are described as title deeds. And these are only 700 116.
Maybe CS, you can be able to indicate the number of hectares.
Yes, the number of yes, the number of. Yeah, did we work on it? Huh? Sorry. We will analyze because yes, we will again now. We not because analyze from here because it indicates title deed, no title deed. We will now work out the about the acreage, comprising the 716 titles that we will do, as well as the names. Leave the names of those particular individuals so that they are not consolidated, so that we separate it. Likewise for the 4,439 who have documents they call, or who say they actually have documents, because I'll come to that in due course. And the rest, of course, don't have any document whatsoever. Now, if you look at the earlier document I submitted, which is the table of the 5 group ranches and the ballooning area, there are also, as you see, attached to that, the officials of these group ranches. I don't know what it's in page. I don't know. No, the first document. You will see the officials of Ngaroni Group Ranch, Sisian Group Ranch, and Kishomi Group Ranch, and so on and so forth.
Chair, these are officials of the original
notices establishing those group ranches. When you create a group ranch, you make a group ranch under the Adjudication Act and the Group Representatives Act. You issue a notification defining their boundaries. So it's not an issue that there are no the boundaries are not known. So we have attached. Now, Chairman, you raise an important question now, just a while before I leave this point. Now, what is the status of these people? Because to extend this to balloon required participation of the group ranch officials, required the participation of land registrars, as well as chairpersons of the land control board, which then have been DCs or DOs at the time. Now, as we speak now, criminal investigations have been done by the DCI regarding these. Investigations have been completed, and the files relating to this, the criminality of these officials of the group ranch, as well as public and government officials, these files are, as we speak now, in front of the DPP for decision. So that is the status of this matter. The DPP will make a decision on that based on the facts and the evidence. Now, similarly, regarding those who have or who say they have letters of sale agreements, letters of allotment. Since last year, and even now, We have been asking them and requesting them to come forth. As we speak now, an office has been opened just next to the forest. There was also an office in the county commissioner's office. For the last 1 year, we've been requesting these individuals to come forward, produce copies of sale agreements, or what they say are sale agreements, or letters of allotment, so that then we know who it is that sold or purported to sell, because that is a legal issue, this land to them. As we speak now, and since even while we are dealing with phase 1, there has been reluctance on their part to come forward. And because these deliberations are open in the media, to the media, again I make an appeal. And I would urge also the leaders to make an appeal to all these to come forth. Go to the county commissioner and provide copies of the sale agreements, provide copies of the letters of allotment, so that then we know the individuals or entities that purported to sell these parcels to them. Because these are the individuals who would not only have committed crimes for obtaining by false pretenses, purporting to sell land that does not belong to them, but also these are the individuals surely who should be compelled to refund the purchasers, if they may be called so, the money they received or the consideration they paid. These are the individuals also who, in the alternative, if they have land to their names, should be able to resettle persons from whom they receive money. But we're having this challenge in them coming forward. And I make this appeal, and chairman, members, also using your own leverages and your own position, help us so that they can come forward. Now, going to let me deal with this issue first before I go into because there has been a lot of debate, discussion about what exactly is the legal status of the Maasai Mau. Is it a trust land? Others call it, is it a settlement scheme? What exactly is the legal status of this? Because that question also will inform the determination about the validity or otherwise of the ensuing titles or title documents of purported ownership. Chairman, members, the Maasai Mau Forest was originally, under the old constitution, a trust land forest. A trust land forest that vested in the county council then of Narok to be managed for the benefit of the residents of that jurisdiction. That was the original status, trust land forest, under the old constitution, specifically at sections 114 to 120 of the old constitution, as well as the Trust Land Act. Now, how do you allocate? How do you issue titles in respect of trust land under the old constitutional and legal framework? Two ways. One, either by setting it apart for a particular purpose by the county council or by the president. Setting apart. And that would require gazettement. And once you gazette, you set it apart, it would cease being a trust land. That's one way. The other way, which would be relevant for our purposes here, is if you desire to issue titles to individuals or groups, you request, now that is the county council in charge, would request the Minister for Lands through the Director of Land Adjudication and Settlement to issue a declaration notice. And I have, in respect of the 5 group branches, I have attached the declaration notices for the 5 group branches as defined in their original size and shape. So if for whatever reason, the county government of, the county council of Narok then felt, in spite of this area being so a hotspot, decided, no, we want anyway to allocate, issue letters of allotment, to issue titles. They would have then requested the minister, first of all, pass a resolution in council and then declare an adjudication section, appoint an adjudication committee, and all the adjudication processes will go on until issuance of title, whether you are lease letters of an adjudication. You must declare it first. You can't just walk into a trust land forget about even a forest, in a critical forest for that matter, and decide there shall be gifted land. That's not the land. The trustees. There's a legal process.
Can I intervene a little? According to what you're saying, was any of these two,
And I know I've been challenged by others outside this committee to produce. I challenge them and any other person, including the county government of Narok, to produce adjudication records beyond the adjudication declarations pertaining to the 5 group ranches. That would then have given the legal validity to the ensuing allocation, issuance of title, or what turned out to be a free-for-all disposition, annexation.
Chair, can I clarify something?
Clarify or seek clarification?
Clarification.
Okay.
Yeah. Who ballooned the ranches? The owners of the legal sections where you have documents of their declarations are the ones who then, because of the appetite of the good money they have been getting from selling the good part, which is legal, are they the ones who ballooned into the section that is being contested?
Absolutely, yes. In addition to others, because they couldn't have done it alone.
Which seeks my final clarification. Why are you appealing to them when you have their list here? You said you are still appealing.
Hillary, as you seem to do all the time.
Just clarify. No, Waziri, just clarify. We are all learning. We are having a conversation. Just clarify.
But I think, Chairman, I think we need to be fair, because Hillary has been all over. Insulting me around.
Oh no, Waziri. I think what I would humbly request even from my end, let us have all the sobriety. When whatever some of the things we do outside there, Waziri, let's not bring them here. And that is what we have agreed as a member. As members, sometimes we as politicians we find ourselves in precarious positions. When we get hold on. When we get some mics out there, sometimes we can go beyond like what we did in the church in Mulanga. So under this particular circumstance, don't refer to whatever you have been saying out there. If an honorable member asks a clarification, just attempt to clarify, and then we can be able to make.
Well, guys, Chairman. Well, yes, I have tremendous respect for you and other members. There are others. Yes. So, Chairman, without the participation of the land officials, without the participation of the members of the Land Control Board, if they do not grant consent, as in fact in this case, consents were not granted. But now, this is the lot that I've said. Investigations have been completed by the DCI, and files are awaiting a decision by the TPP. Now, the one about calling out are those now who says we are innocent claim, and I will show shortly that they are not. They are equally. They are conspirators. But for the moment, let's assume, for argument's sake, those ones are the ones I've said. Please, if you are saying you bought it, there's a sale agreement. You have a letter of allotment. A title issued to you. Why, please, come give us a copy of both the title, the agreement, record a complaint, so that then we help you, work together with you, to get the person who sold this land to you. That's the appeal. That's the group that I was appealing to, not these ones that are already. I don't know whether I've clarified. Yes. Proceed. Okay. So, Chairman, before I don't know where am I?
Maybe
Where was
you can be able to give Waziri some water.
Yes, I need some water.
Water from Mau.
Where was I? What was the point? Oh, sorry. Okay. Oh, sorry. Yeah. Now I'm back on track. I'm back on track, Chairman. Thank you, Chairman. No, we are done with, under the old Constitution, the Trust Land Act, the Land Adjudication Act, and the Land Group Representatives Act. That is what any transaction that took place before 2010, the new constitution, would be judged, the validity or otherwise of it will be judged under those constitutional and legal provisions. Now, this therefore, Chair, to the extent that the law, the Constitution, which was the supreme law of the land, still is, the Trust Land Act, and all the laws I have mentioned, were not followed. Those titles, and these titles are not actually then, 700 and whatever, the rest don't happen, are in law of no legal validity. They are null and void. They do not. Every first year law student knows this. You cannot give that which you don't have. You can't. You can't. That is the law. And that the title, the proprietary interest, ownership is not the document you possess. That is not the title. It is prima facie evidence. The title is the root of the title. In this case, there was this land that is the subject of this deliberation was not available for registration and adjudication and issuance of title. It does not matter how many documents you describe as title deed you may possess. In law, they are of no legal effect and consequence. Now, then let's come to what is the framework under the current, sorry.
Francis, Chachu, want to say something?
Waziri, just for clarity, these titles.
Waziri?
If you, Chairman, I have said of land officials and government officials. Okay. In the same manner, Chairman and members, as happened not too long ago when we were dealing with KICC. Well, I mean, all of us remember. What happened about KICC Kanu? Getting the title documents issued by land officials. Yes. An example, I mean if you want us to have a candid discussion, let's have it. Yes, we know what happened in about the account. It's here. Title issued by the same, probably even more senior, commissioner of land. Property that belong to Kenyans. And Kanu was brandishing a title document with all the seals, the sign and signatures. That did not stop the new government from getting in a dramatic manner and repossessing KICC, cancelling that title and a new title issued. That is the same way. That's the same way. Has it happened?
Chair, one clarification following on Church.
Let Waziri complete and then we are going to hear your clarification. Because he was still responding on it. Proceed, Waziri.
That is the same way. That is exactly what happened, Chairman, not too long ago, because it has been before this committee. When we brought down buildings constructed. No, I'll talk about it because it is the same thing. Buildings that were constructed on rivers, on riparian reserves, approvals granted. The point I'm making is the mere fact that the titles or the 700 of these titles were signed by a government official does not render an invalid title valid.
Chair.
Ilale?
Yeah, I think the CS is using his legal mind to mislead this committee. There is a process. You know, I cannot wake up and say this title invalid because I know some processes which others don't know. If government wants to revoke a title that was issued by its own government, they must put a case in the High Court for the court to look into the processes which led into the issuance of that title, and then the court declares the revocation of the same title. The CS for Environment cannot declare any title invalid. That is the point. That is his opinion. He is jumping some processes. That we are saying he is using the magic. He said about the criminal magic that was happening there. But he's not opening up the magic itself, and he is in government. The magic that took place involved these titles being given by the land office. And once they are issued, there is a process of invalidating them. Not declarations, not explaining the processes. You explain them in a court of law so that the court can revoke the title. That is all the contentious issue.
So, Waziri, based on what Mheshimiwa but two, he has alluded to a process. Is the government following that process which Mheshimiwa Hilary is alluding to ensure that these titles are revoked procedurally or as per the law? Maybe you can be able to guide us in terms of revocation of titles because they have been issued by government. Just note that, Mheshimiwa Leader.
Yeah, Chair, so that we are on the same page. Has the CS finished?
Allowed us to seek is based on just procedure and what he's talking about, but not on the content. Because I think what we are doing now is he's giving us the genesis of what has happened this far. So it's okay that we listen and then we can ask questions later, as opposed to now questioning the content. So let us just know exactly how did we get here, and I think that's what he's trying to clarify.
So, Waziri, just note what Mheshimiwa Hilary has alluded to High Court, Supreme Court, and the rest. So for now, you are already protected. Just proceed up to the tail end. No further clarifications.
Thank you, Chairman. Now, Chairman, now under the current constitutional dispensation, Maasai Mau ceased being a trust land and became public land. And just with your permission, because where is the Constitution? Public land, and this is in Article 61, sub-article 1. I don't want to read A. There is A, which is doesn't apply. B doesn't apply. C does not apply. D does not apply. E does not apply. F does not apply because it's minerals and oils and so on. Now, G is relevant here. G categorizes as public land the following: government forest other than forest to which Article 63(2)(d)(1) applies. So cross-reference it to Article 63(2)(d) Roman 1. Now, what is that about? 63(2)(d)(1) reads as follows: land that is lawfully held, managed or used by a specific community as community forest and grazing areas or shrines. That is the only category of community land or forest that is exempt from being a public land. If you look at Roman 3 of section of Article 63(2), land be under Article 62(1)(g) public land. And it continues. So government forest other than those, government game reserves, and more critically, water catchment areas. I think we all agree that if there is ever an ecosystem, an ecological asset that constitutes a water catchment area, not just domestically, but globally, it is the Maasai Mau. Water catchment areas. Under our new constitution, are public land, not community land, not private land. Now, to whom does this vest? Look at Article 62(3). And it says, public land classified under clause 1F to M, which now includes G, I've just read, which includes water catchment areas, shall vest and be held by the national government, not county government. No. No. By national government in trust for the people of Kenya. Not unlike, it's no longer what it used to be under the old constitution, under the old Trust Land Act, that it used to be for the benefit of the residents of that particular locality. No. Vest in the national government. Maasai Mau, a critical watershed, and is held by the national government in trust for the people of Kenya, not just waters in Lake Victoria. 5%. It is one of the rare constitutions in the whole world that the right to a clean and this is what Article 42 says. Every person has a right to to have an environment protected for the benefit
and serve its country and its citizens. So we are just asking you, very humbly as a mother from where I sit, because I have been a chair in the 10th Parliament of Labour and Social Welfare. We have given our report when the eviction.
Who are alive today, it belongs to those that have not, to our children, our children's. It belongs to posterity. In the same manner that we ourselves who are alive today found this asset and enjoying it, so too the generations yet to be born have an equal right to find that asset and enjoy it in the same manner as we have been enjoying ourselves. Let me also refer you, Chairman, because it is important, to Article 69. This is obligations in respect of environment. Obligations. We as a state and state organs, including yourselves, have a constitutional obligation and I read Article 69(1), paragraph G. The state shall, and this is now to go to G, the state shall eliminate processes and activities that are likely to endanger the environment. So, even if for argument's sake, Maasai Mau were not still trust land under the county government of Narok, if there are processes and activities that destroy the environment, the ecological value of that asset, the national government has the responsibility to come in to eliminate processes and activities that are likely to endanger the environment. What has been going on in Maasai Mau for the last 30 years is nothing short of an ecological disaster. I say that because I have no stronger words ecological disaster. Then Article 2 of Sub-Article 2. Every person has a duty. So it imposes an obligation on the state and state organs, which include yourselves. But it correspondingly, conversely, imposes an destruction, the wanton destruction that has been going on in the Mau. Seriously impact negatively on this. What am I saying this, Chairman? I'm saying this, Chairman and honorable members, to demonstrate two things, because again, one, Maasai Mau is a public asset vested in and held by the national government for the benefit of the people of Kenya. And two, for the benefit not just of those of us alive today, but those yet to be born. And three, even if it were not so, even if for argument's sake, it belonged to the county government of Narok. The national government has responsibilities under the constitution to step in when the custodian is either unable, unwilling, or complicit in the destruction of that asset.
When Kefri, through the then acting director, involved a politician, in the replanting process. That is the senator for Narok. We were seeing him together with the director and the Kefri guys doing the replanting. We also wondering why couldn't you also extend the same thing to the members of this committee in that particular exercise? So you are, maybe you can, it can be, was he a partner, was he contributing something in it, or, yeah.
Chairman, Senator Olekena is a senator for the county of Narok, where Maasai Mau is located. Two, he contributed from his own money, from his own pocket, part of the cost that went into that. Three, Chairman, I already, when I was speaking about massive reforestation that we intend to embark on, I said I invite you, your chairman and the other members to undertake the exercise. He's not the first and the only. And it was not about politics. And we invite and encourage every other leader to help us. Instead of going there to decampaign and incite people on the ground, to be part of the solution. Finally, Chairman, Mau must be saved and restored to its original pristine state, and it is either now or never, and there is no going back on that. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Bwana Waziri, for that presentation. On behalf of this team, let me take the opportunity to really thank you, together with your team, for a very elaborate presentation. And as we had agreed on behalf of this committee, on behalf of this committee, we want to say that we are 100% in solidarity, and we support the conservation of Mau water towers among the other water towers we have in the country. That one count on our support. But our humble request is that when we are doing the eviction, let it be in a humane way. And so far, when we have sent in the security teams barricading the areas, so these guys have just been moving out in a very humane way. But our biggest concern, Banawaziri, and the concern of Kenyans, and the serious concern of Kenyans, it is now you are concentrating on Maasai Mau.
Because we as a government have that responsibility. From phase 1, we reclaimed 4,500 hectares. If you multiply by 2.5, that runs to about 10,000, 11,000 acres. We removed 1,772 households, about 8,800 persons. As well as 3,000 livestock. In addition, we received voluntary surrender of title deed by individuals (28) title deeds, various individuals and entities. I have no problem, Chairman, sharing the list of those if this committee needs it.
Together with the acreage.
Yes, actually, the total acreage runs to it's 1,232, 1,232 hectares, which translates roughly to 3,000 acres.
This committee, just to highlight, it was on number 8 on Transmara, on the Kiptagish Tea Factory, owned by the former President of the Republic of Kenya, Daniel Toroitich Arap Moi. We want to see you there, closing the factory, and where there are timbuses doing their forestation. That is where now you are going to see that this government is really serious. We don't need to tell him to come, and if at all he is really serious, because we also saw him in India, let him also surrender that title. Among all the other Kenyans who are occupying land in Maasai Mau and in our other water towers. That way, you will have the goodwill of not only this committee, the National Assembly, but all Kenyans. Because I think stand now that the Maasai Mau is, we are targeting just the squatters. But at the end of the day, we are happy because out of the 761 or thereabout people who have titles, we're also going to share with Kenyans their names so that people they can really be able to see who is who are actually involved in the ballooning or original encroachers who actually got the titles. Then on top of that, Bwana CS, we also need to get the list of the land officers who are actually behind this fraudulent criminal activity. You know, as much as we are punishing the encroachers, also those land officers. And we are really looking forward because the DCI, as the way you had indicated to us, already completed the investigation.
Phase 2, or phase 1, we reclaimed about 14,000, 13,000, 14,000 acres. At the time, you remember, Chairman and honorable members, the issue was, so where do these people go to? And by the way, there was no discrimination. And we don't ask, which tribe do you belong in? Our consideration is, are you within the boundaries? Are you in the forest? You get out. We don't ask, which political party do you belong in? Formation. They left. Went back to the original homes. Now, since then, we have undertaken a series of activities, and I think that's now the, if you look at my report, I think paragraph.
All the best. We want to take this opportunity to wish all the very best. So with those many remarks, we want to get the timelines. When we are going to give out the documents. Then number two, the timelines. Of course, we know you have given 60 days notice for the eviction. So immediately we are done with the Maasai Mau, we move to the rest of the areas. So members, thanks so much, Waziri, and all the very best as you exercise your powers. Members, can we have a little of It is Baba.
How are you, my friend? Shake my hand. Don't come to John. Thank
I'm being employed, hired, to do the planting and restoration. We intend to continue. And we thank your committee chairman and the members because we got some little money in the budget for the national tree planting. But there are still threats and still require a lot of work to be done in terms of reforestation, in terms of fencing work, so that you can facilitate natural regeneration. We will be launching our national tree planting campaigns for the short range there. We shall be inviting chairman and your members to join us in that activity. As I said, and as the government spokesman communicated, position of the government, because had all these leaders exercising their constitutional right to freedom of expression. That is an individual's agenda, not a government agenda. It is a government agenda. As a minister in charge of environment, one of my responsibilities as designated by His Excellency the President under the Constitution is the restoration, reclamation and restoration of strategic water towers, of which Maasai Mau is one. We have about 14,000. Is it 14 or 8? What's the area for phase 2? For phase 2. For phase 2. Yes. For phase 2. Chairman, what was it's about between 14,000 and 17,000 hectares. Actually, yes, about 22,000 acres can work out in the, sorry. No, we'll come to that. Yes. Now, this is the area. These are the areas now, presently, they're subject of the reclamation. And as government has pronounced itself, that exercise is unstoppable. There is no going back, so that there is clarity about it. You can discuss about other things, but it's no going back. We have the Joint Enforcement Unit, comprising officers from KFS, KWS, and also county council rangers, county government rangers. It's an organ that has been in existence for a while. And this is the team that has been undertaking protective activities, as well as engaging. Activity kicked off the 1st of September. The population resident in the area, the subject of that restoration, is 3,372 households. That translates roughly to, using an average of four per family, 5, I think, to about 15,000, 16,000 persons. There has not been any forcible or forcible sure Chairman and members have been seeing it in the media. So far from our estimate, the last 1 week since, between 850 and 1,000 households have left voluntarily, without any force, in a most peaceful manner, without any use of force. They moved out. And this includes, and I think this is relevant, and this includes 60 families of Maasai community. 60 families of Maasai. I'm putting this, Chairman, so that this notion, which is profoundly insulting to me, that I am advancing tribal agenda. 60 communities have left, moved. And they continue to stream out. On daily basis. And we're encouraging them. And this, in spite of leaders trooping in to the area, inciting them and persuading them not to move out. These illegal occupants, because that's what they are, have realized that for far too long they have become sort of something like a political football, to be kicked in, kicked out, depending on the political wave. I think they now appreciate that the time is up. We are encouraging them. Barazas are being held. Chiefs, assistant chiefs, the Joint Enforcement Unit, the County Commission and the County Security and Intelligence Committees, to sensitize them and consult them. This exercise will go on. If there is ever a subject matter that has been investigated in one form or another, Commission of Inquiry, task force upon task force, it is this matter of them all. Starting far way back, 1986, the William Tutu Boundary Commission. In 1986, recommendations are made as usual, but no action taken because of the prevailing political environment moving towards 1992, the advent of multipartyism. No action was taken. In 1996, the John Sambo Task Force, Honorable John Sambo's Task Force, no action was taken because 1996 was just about 1997 elections. (2004), the Ndungu Land Commission. No action was taken because there was to be a referendum in 2005, the Maasai referendum. So the timing was not right. In 2008, 2009, the commission, the Hazar Nur, I think Professor Wino, but anyway, because Hazar Nur Commission, task force. Nothing done because we were in another referendum in 2010. It gives us the new constitution. The last task force, the one that I established, shared the report with committee in February 2018. In the meantime, the destruction of that ecosystem. We have lost. I think I'll share with you, Chairman, the time series. There's time series mapped. Please just note that so that you see. What is left of the original Maasai Mao is a fraction. And what has been proceed. So, Chairman. So now, the point I'm making is, Chairman, by dithering in taking action, we have allowed the destruction to go on unabated. The degradation, the consequences. Experts have done their own analysis. We should be able to share the scientific report that show that every year we lose about 3.5 to 4 billion Kenya shilling as a result of the destruction per year. calculate since the 80s, the 90s. So time is now or never. May I finish the issue of another matter? Because, yes, and compensation, the simple answer is compensation, whether by way of monetary payment or provision of alternative land, presupposes validity of title. Presupposes that title is valid. In this case, the 716 titles, forget about for the moment those who don't have any document, they say like because there are no titles anyway, but even if under our constitution, Article 40, Article 6 or 2, there's no right to compensation. There's no entitlement to compensation. There's not going to be compensation. And furthermore, addressing the issue of innocence for value, or innocent purchasers for value. Who is it? Who is it that lives on planet Earth that does not know, has never heard, is not aware that Maasai Mau is a forest? Disputed, subject of nearly 5 task forces and commissions of inquiry, intermittent evictions, widespread media coverage. Who is it that can plead innocence? None. But we are willing to assist those who come forth to record statements and provide us with documents to follow on their behalf those who purported to sell those lands. But they must come forth, provide documentation. That's all, Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks so much, Bwana Waziri, for that insightful and extremely extensive presentation. I would like, I think, Jamcha to invite.
Within the Mau, there could be a lot of others who are disadvantaged. Let us see how we can assist.
So you can also be able to give us a general overview about the other blocks, because we have other stories which we hear. Mheshimiwa Hassan.
Thank you, Chairman, for the opportunity. Thank you also the CS for very elaborate explanation of the questions that we wanted you to make clarifications on. I want to ask one question which is very important, which nobody else probably have not heard people raising. There are people who ordinarily are not forest dwellers and they have encroached the forest. But we also know that in all communities who neighbor the Mau complex. We normally have those who live in the forest. They don't do cultivation, they are hunters and gatherers traditionally. What is the fate of this group of people? Do we have them in these areas where eviction is being carried out? Do we have mechanisms of making sure that they are not punished for mistake of others? Because from where I sit, I see them as part and parcel of the ecosystem because they normally extract their livelihood in a sustainable manner.
Thank you, Chairman and Waziri, for quite help. And a government which misplaces its people has no reason of existing. You have really explained, and you have the details of the land cartels, which were called the original encroachers. The government has been there, and all these activities, documentations, which some of which you annexed, has the appendix of the government. But what surprised me, the force and the intelligence which you use to evict the encroachers, the quotes of the Constitution which you have alluded to, why have you not used the same to deal with the original encroachers? That's a question which, an issue which disturbed me. With the all intelligence in the government, I think you could have come with a serious alternative land. These are Kenyans. And anybody who cheats you that Kenyans should be displaced in their own land for issues which are not of their making, simply because they are poor, this one should not be allowed to happen. Now, can you make a reverse gear? Because it is quite a motive, and sometimes members, it even needs political solution, not the way Waziri overrules. I wish you should think of a Kenyan. You think as a Kenyan, and Mau has been used for so many years as a political score. Because election is not near, they should be displaced. I think it is not acceptable. This is a government which can even make budgetary allocation so that lands could be bought so that we settle our people. The last one, I want you to tell the committee comprehensively how the government is going to deal with the original land cartel encroachers. Thank you.
I think you can be able to answer to those three, and then from
original encroachers. That is a matter that is, as I mentioned, that is a matter that is ripe, and we're waiting for action to be announced shortly. Two, and I repeat, we want all those who say they were duped. Who say, because I say who say, because we don't. To come forth and tell us who is it that you bought this land from, give us the document, so that then we deal with a person, or help you deal with a person who sold or purported to sell this land to you. It would be really unfair and improper. A person who has engaged in an illegal transaction with another person for the government to be the one to compensate for the person who turns out to be the loser. Two, and there is one thing that we seem to be losing sight about. How about the cost of destruction? I don't know, Chairman, whether, because I remember when I appeared before you last time, you were planning as a committee to visit that area. Maybe you did. I have. There's no tree standing. It's completely cleared off. What about the cost that was occasioned by the destructive activities of those that we now have to mobilize additional resources to restore? That's why you're asking us your budgetary allocation. Should we not be asking them to pay for the restoration? How about the benefits they derived? They cultivated, they harvested water, grass, logged, cleared off trees, natural trees that would have grown for years, some maybe 100 years plus. They didn't benefit? They need more to be compensated for your wrongful and illegal act that have occasioned the country and humanity. And you call that, Chairman, fairness? That's not fairness. That's not fairness. Well, yes, I'm not unsympathetic to the, of course, I appreciate. But can I ask for one moment, why should the rights of these 15,000, even 20,000, even 40,000, 50,000, 60,000, why should their right supersede, be more important, that we can actually cry? How about the millions? How about the millions? Not just in Kenya, across. Whose livelihoods, whose lives how about the wildlife that don't talk? If the elephants and the wild beast would talk, what would they say?
why is it that the right of these people, whoever, and I'm saying not a community, people who are the illegal encroachers,
Chair.
Why should they?
Excuse me, Chair. Is the minister lecturing or giving us answers?
Yeah.
Can we
He
get-
was answering me, Chair.
Waziri, as we said
Stop your
earlier,
lectures.
we know you are dealing with the very emotive issues. Kindly lower down your temperatures to normal. Increase your blood pressure to normal. If you need some tablets, I would like to request Hillary to share with you. So kindly relax and ensure that your blood pressure is normal.
Well advised, Chairman.
Please.
Well guided.
We understand the animals and the old beasts are not talking. We will talk on their behalf. So kindly just respond to what the members had asked. Please, and relax. As you can see, from our end, we are very relaxed.
Then, Honorable Were says, who are dispossessed from their land? They were not dispossessed from their land. No, that's not their land. That is land belonging to all Kenyans. So it's not their land. They should never have been there to begin with. No.
Point of order, Chair.
Is it?
Yes. I still have. Chairman, an important issue, and those who rely on activities in the forest, like honey gatherers, and whose activities are not destructive to, are not detrimental to the integrity of this ecosystem. It's very important. And as Chairman, you and members would know, in respect of the Ogiek of Mau, the African Court of Human Rights and Peoples and Human Rights in Arusha actually delivered a judgment on precisely this point. On this point. And the task force now, for the last couple of months, a task force that has been, because we have been filing reports in the Arusha Court on our implementation of the judgment of the Court of African and Human Rights. These are community, the humane manner and nature in which this exercise is, that is absolutely critical. If, and this again, I think it's Honorable Kimani. If in a case of a person who is on a case-to-case, actually, if you look at my report, Chairman, the one I says to be done in a humane manner, and where a case by case, depending on an individual who has to be facilitated, not as compensation, but what we call humanitarian support for those who may truly have nowhere to go, have no, that is a matter, and so that's the whole issue about humane manner takes into account that. So, and two, the manner in which the removal is being done. No use of violence at all. No use of violence, and none will be used at all. At all.
it will be conducted in the most peaceful, consultative, manner that respects the dignity of those involved. The issue of what other blocks in, let me put it this way, the Maasai Mau, and also has been the subject of the largest number of inquiries and commissions of inquiries, task forces since the 80s. Yes, but we are not just dealing with them. We have prepared, Chairman, I don't know what the copies have been. Yes. Okay. Again, that show that there's another one about the So, Chairman, we have shared a matrix that shows the other blocks. Okay, the other blocks in forming the Maasai Forest Complex. We have also, and the level of encroachment, action taken, those that, Chairman, if we had all the manpower, all the resources required, we would have dealt with once and for all. But we have to start somewhere and do within our capacities.
7 hectares, which include Kiptagish tea farm and other smaller tea farms. People are still benefiting where we have the super rich. And who is who? The other day we saw the former commissioner of lands, Mwaitak, saying that when we were doing all this subdivision, he decided to walk away with a leg and some lips. But some innocent Kenyans there in Maasai Mau, as much as it's more endangered, that is where we are starting. Waziri, we will have a lot of difficulties in this entire process. If you want resources, we are the people who give resources. Go to Transmala and evict the people who have encroached. Go to Molo and evict. I think my pressure is also going up. So Waziri, we're having some difficulties here, honestly, with all honesty. You know, just respond to that. Why are you just targeting common mwananchi? As much as they have evaded and we are 100% in agreement, and it is very clear, the who is who in Transmala, you know what they have done. The factories are there. These to be the first casualties. And actually they are the same people who sold the land to these vulnerable Kenyans. So Waziri, please, as much as we are lowering our blood pressure, target the big fish and the small fish.
Chairman, let me put it this way. Argument. But it is also a case of a thief who is caught stealing and then being arrested and charged, and yet there is a bigger thief out there. That's the first point. 2, just sorry, if you don't,
the leader.
Chair, I think I also need to be advised to lower my pressure. Chair, the CS has mentioned very serious, that's a very serious claim. You know, CS is our good friend. It is you, Chair, who is saying, it is you who is saying that these lands must be recovered. And the CS is saying that it is a case of a thief, saying that we should also get the others. You are now directing him to go and get the other one. Given and the institution in this case, Chair, I don't know. I think I should be right. That he is claiming that you are the one now directing him to a different place, when actually, in the actual sense, you may be having interest in the other lands that you are now currently redirecting him, which is not very fair, Chair. Would I be in order that the CS withdraws that statement?
and apologize.
Chairman,
Waziri.
I withdraw and conditionally apologize. Okay? Chairman, the point here is, right? There's not going to be, the point here is, there's not going to be any sacred cows. That's the word, let me put it. Two, right? Two, those who have titles in, or purported titles in Maasai Mau, and who have been agitating for compensation, and you'll see the list, are not actually small fish at all. And what okay. Number three, Chairman. Okay.
Have you given the list of the 700 people who have the titles?
They are in the seven. They are in the 129.
We want to flag them off.
We can make life easier for yes.
So
the point, Chairman, is small or big, no one is going to be spared. Okay, that is the position that we communicate. In Maasai Mau today, it has been the subject of all these task forces and action. We will move to other water towers and other other forest blocks. That's what happened.
What we're saying, Waziri, is this. Very, very, very simple and clear. We're in the process of doing eviction in phase 2 in Maasai Mau. Can you take this opportunity now as we're addressing Kenyans and give notice to all the other illegal settlers to start packing up and going? Take that opportunity and give notice now, so that they can start packing. Yeah, not a question of finishing phase 1 and going to the next one. Give notice now. Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, can I also similarly, okay, then ask of you, okay, because I'll give this notice, okay, and I would want your assurance here that you will support that initiative, okay, including the Maasai, including the
We will remove
any illegal encroachers. Every illegal encroachers, and all illegal encroachers are put on notice. Right? And with the support of this committee, the committee and including the members should not now go again and preach a different message. Provide us with sufficient resources and manpower to do that. We agreed.
Waziri, we want to give you all the necessary support. But with the lighting, but what we are saying, Waziri,
you cannot oppress the poor.
What we are saying, Waziri, you have given us a table here, and I want to believe you own it. We as the members of this committee and the entire House, 100% in solidarity with you. But not in a piecemeal. Not only targeting Maasai Mau where you have these small dwellers and the rest. We want you to undertake the issue, the question of eviction in the entire Mau complex. You are just been restricting yourself to only one Maasai Mau. Only one Mau, or only Maasai Mau. So, as far as we are concerned, for us to be able to give you all the unequivocal support, you must be able to give notice to all the illegal settlers, be it big, be it medium size, be it small size, so that they cannot be able to move out of Mau complex. And I can assure you, you are the people who passes the budget. We are going to give you money to ensure that all those big fishes are also evicted out of Mau. Without that, kwetu hakuna kitu. We cannot really be able to, all the forest.
Mr. Chairman,
including Chogoya in my place.
Mr. Chairman, this is what exactly I've said is, right? But I have repeated, Chairman, that all those illegal encroachers of all the water towers in this country are put on notice. Okay, and not just as per my list. This is just, I'm saying all. No, okay, are put on notice. All right. Now, your support, Chairman, to proceed to finish what we have started, do others, simultaneously, concurrently, sequentially, leave it that to our operation modality.
Concurrently, you are talking about
Chairman, with tremendous respect, if you want now to do the operation for me, because that's now, I think that with tremendous respect, you cannot come, Chairman, with tremendous respect, and now want to give the operation orders. I have already stated in terms of principle. Leave me and my team to work out the operation modalities.
Maybe you can be able to give us the timelines.
Sorry?
You can be able to give us the timelines when we are going to move to the next blocks.
As soon as I am done with Maasai Mau, I'll move to others. Well, so
let's proceed. Let's proceed. Let us proceed.
Let us proceed.
Let us proceed with clarification.
Thank you, Chair. Even the issue of the encroachment of riparian areas, even in Nairobi, is still under. We still have issues. We are not ready. We are not yet clear. Chair, maybe just in passing, that the southern end building mall that was brought down, there is another building that is coming up. So what the CS is doing, maybe we may need really to follow. But Chair, what I wanted to raise is that there is a list that has been presented to this committee under Annex 9. And this Annex 9 has names of Kenyans covering 15 pages. 4 out of the 15 are only the names that have allocated the size of land. 11 pages, they have not indicated the size of land. Given all the numerous task force reports, the commissions, honestly speaking, why couldn't the ministry uplift what was in that report so that the report that is presented to this committee is a report that can help us know who actually were the original owners, whom we are now calling the original encroachers of this Mau settlement scheme. Chair, I'm happy the CS has talked of handling evicting with the decorum. I'm happy with that, but I just wanted to find out from the CS that in that area we have 15 primary schools, actually schools, whose students are going to sit for exams this year. Their parents are now currently being evicted. Can you tell this committee how you intend to handle these candidates who will eventually have to sit for exams, and exams which cannot be postponed because of the Mau evictions? Chair, I just wanted to finalize by asking the CS, and this is with a lot of respect, because this CS is not like the other CSs. He has been a civil servant for quite some time. In the course of your duty, did you in any way come across Mau issues? And if you did, how did you handle them that time? Because it's very important, because we keep apportioning blame to other civil servants, yet some of us could be part and parcel of the problems that we currently have. So if you, because you have been Director of Public Prosecutions, and I'm sure you may have encountered these Mau issues, because they have not been there for yesterday, they have been there for long. Could you have encountered this? And if you did, how did you handle that matter? Thank you, Chair.
Ms. Mwalosa, and then Hilary.
Thank you, Chair. This committee, I support your action 100% in trying to restore back Mau. As a committee, we had an opportunity to listen to a presentation by the Minister of Water, where he actually raised an alarm that within 5 to 10 years, Kenya was going to be a desert country. And we must do all we can to restore our water towers. But having said that, I like the way you are so enthusiastic and adamant that you are not going to stop. But you've also shown us that every year or each time an attempt was made to restore the Mau, and there was a political activity forthcoming, all the efforts were discarded. You will be the same person or the same minister, I hope. What if we will be faced with a referendum next year or the year after? What if? Will you still be as strong and adamant in pursuing restoration of the Mau? Or like all the other politicians who've gone ahead of you, you're going to call it off? Thank you.
Thank you, Chair, and I thank Rosa for raising what I was going to raise, because the CS gave us a very good chronology of attempts to safeguard the Mau ecosystem, and he jumped to the 2013 and the 2017, maybe because he fears his appointing authority, or he fell short of telling us the president cheated the people of Mau to gain votes. Maybe that is what he feared, but you can understand him. He's a CS, he's an appointee. But all I want to say is that the approach the CS is taking, the conservation of the Mau and the other 5 water towers is not in doubt. That we support fully. But we don't support a conservation that does not take into account human life. When you say that people have benefited for there, we are asking for compensation for government negligence. If there was a government before you, there was a CS for environment before you. Their negligence in not doing what you are attempting to do is what must lead them to compensate the small holders in Mau. And your lackluster approach, you are not very, firm in dealing with the big shots the way you are with the poor. Why? 2, all we are asking from you is take time. You know, at one point I listened to you, you said I don't care. And I really was wondering, how can a government minister flying a flag say in a public meeting that I don't care about the children who will die as a result of the evictions if they are done in an orderly manner? All we are saying is that consult widely. This is a serious issue. It has lasted 30 years. It probably will last more. You are the CS now. There are CSs before you who never succeeded. There will be CSs after you. But for you to get it right, you must use a consultative approach that seeks to know that these innocent victims were given titles that must be invalidated through a genuine process, alternative land got for those people. Failure to do that, you can table a cabinet memo or a cabinet decision that says there is no compensation. That the cabinet has sat and decided there is no compensation. If it is your views, we take it as your views as a CS for environment. Number 2, as you go to the big fish, there are major distractions. When this issue of Mau came in the other day, Mount Kenya callers, Abadeas, they were crying of drying rivers. So drying rivers are not only in Mau. Drying rivers are all over Kenya in the 5 big major water towers. So we want a plan that is consistent with us and the ministry and is acceptable by the people of Kenya. That is fair, genuine, no chest stamping, no harassment, no intimidation. People are treated like they are Kenyans who put a place in government, a government that can take care of them however vulnerable they are. That is what we want.
Dilly, you can be able to respond to those. And I'm happy that this pressure was katikati.
To answer the issue of 2013 or 20 whatever, really to me is I have stated the chronology of the task forces as far as the reports have been availed to me in my capacity as the CS environment. If I were not on that seat, CS environment, I wouldn't. Maybe as a Kenyan, I would be concerned about the Mau, but then I'm doing by virtue of my position as CS environment. And every minister who has sat on on the seat that I sit today has had to deal with the issue of Mau. You know them. So I am not doing anything that has not been done. In fact, I am doing it because it is the part of the docket, the function given to me by the president. On the issue of compensation, I tabled. Did we get the legal the expert's report?
Chair, as he looks for the legal report, he's saying that he gave us a chronology based on the task forces. Is he trying to say that the validity of the task forces was not were not valid between 2013 and 2017?
But I mentioned the task force that I set up in February of 2018. Now, if you look at the report, well, just give out the report of experts. The report of experts who analyzed, and under the charge of the Attorney General, who analyzed all these titles of the 716, concluded rightly so that these titles are null and void and are of no legal consequences, and there is no right to compensation. That is the legal position by a team of experts under the chair of the Office of the Attorney General. That report is. So it is not me who just woke up. It is based upon a legal opinion of a team of experts that were constituted. Now, the issue as to whether the issue of I think Rosa, the issue whether now, because whether I will, depending on the new circumstances as may present themselves, whether I will go back or sort of drag my feet about. No, I will not. And I say this because, as communicated by the government spokesperson, this is not Tobiko's decision. It is a decision of the government. So the issue about whether I will now chicken out because of the prevailing political environment really is not. That is not. The position of the government is as I have stated. Honorable Washali, you raise an important issue. At what point? How did I, at one point, get involved in the whatever concern about this issue of the Mau? I got involved in this in 1992. Is it? Wait, that report. In two, I think 208 or 200, where is that? The one about Professor. Just circulate together with that. Just circulate. The affidavit. Chairman, in 2009, and we're circulating, because it is important, Chairman, because this issue it's been peddled about. And in fact, when I appeared before you last time, it was again raised that Tobiko is a beneficiary of land in the Mau. In fact, I saw one leader brandishing some document to circulator. And I was asked about the same issue.
In 2009, because there was a whole list of, in the newspaper, published about the so-called senior individuals, senior government functionaries who are beneficiaries of the Maasai Mau. Now, in one of those lists was my name. And I think because this issue arose. When I saw this matter in the press, I was horrified. I said, is this me? I said, well, that is my name. So this is a land that I know nothing about. Okay. Then I decided to write formally to the office of the Prime Minister, under whose office, that is above next. If you look at the affidavit of Professor Tenui, Professor Tenui is just acting teacher. I said, I don't understand this. How is it that my name has come about in the newspaper as one of the beneficiaries, and I know nothing about it? You will see a copy of my letter attached to the affidavit of.
Waziri, I think you dealt with that issue satisfactory of the committee. So don't dwell on that.
So the point here, that is the extent of my involvement about clearing my name, and I think that is the extent of my involvement to the. And happily, it was clarified. It was this is a mistake, and then the proper report was from the other affidavit. That issue was clarified, and I didn't. Now, coming to the other issue of, sorry? Oh, yes, 15 schools.
Yes. Chair,
sorry.
Maybe an intervention so that it clears everything once and for all. In pursuit of what Benjamin Washali is saying, there have been things that have been running around. You read them in some papers. There was a subject of a petition that was supposed to have been tabled in Parliament. People claiming that at one point before you went to government, you were a lawyer for one of the leading ranch owners or trust land owners, and therefore you are the one who participated in writing sale agreements for those innocent purchasers there. Maybe you can clear your name.
Well, that allegation has no legs to hold on. Has no absolutely. It's an allegation that is meant for nuisance value. For nuisance value. Now,
so our satisfactory answers. Nuisance value. Let's take the next round. Do you exhausted for the schools? For the schools.
For the schools.
For the schools. We have a point of order from the Vice Chair.
Chair, we are in Parliament session, and when we are in Parliament session, we must use language that is in terms with the standing orders of. Is the minister in order to use the language he has just used?
I think it is legal language, it is legal jargon.
But Chairman, let me.
But Chair, it cannot be used in Parliament.
Chairman, let me out of tremendous respect for the Vice Chair and the members, again withdraw that and reservedly and apologize.
But Chair.
So proceed with the issues about the schools.
Yeah, the issues.
And thank you for apologizing.
Yes. The issue of the schools, Chairman, a very important point really that has been raised. Chairman, I can do no better than just refer Honorable Washali to the letter from Education, State Department of Early Learning, and so on and so forth. The 15 schools and so on and so forth, registration status. And this is what it says. The schools had not applied. Now, the 15 schools that you remember, the schools had not applied for registration, but had made an inquiry on what they needed to assemble so that they could be considered for registration. They had attempted to meet some of these requirements, however, they could not get land documents. This matter was brought to the attention of the County Education Board. The board advised that they had to acquire land documents and be approved by NEMA before staffing. The schools had no TSC employed teachers. Once schools open in third term, efforts will be made to verify who actually attended to the pupils in those schools. Meanwhile, they were being mentored by the heads of the already existing schools. Now, these are schools outside the forest. Then the conclusion here is at page 12. Conclusion: the Office of County Director of Education, Narok, was working closely with the area chiefs, the Deputy County Commissioner, Narok South, and the County Commissioner, Narok, to ensure that all the displaced children were placed in convenient public schools. Chairman, that letter, but again, I'm sure you can, if the committee, you can invite the Ministry of Education, but that is a letter that really addresses the issue that Honorable Washeli has.
Thank you, Waziri. The next round, Mheshimiwa. The next round, Mheshimiwa.
Sorry, there's one which serves me right. Your committee actually has been to that place, and you yourself, along with the other, determine that building is outside the defined. Oh, you did it? No. So, you've not? Okay. May I, Chairman?
We are coming up with our own report.
Your own report.
This week or next week.
If the committee then requires, I can file a separate sorry.
There was the issue of that annex 9 and 10.
Chairman, let me undertake. I don't know. Was it photocopied?
Issue of titles. You've constantly said that the people who are having illegal titles should come forth. And I'm surprised because you are in government and we also have a minister for lands. And since all the processes of issuing titles are known, why should you ask someone to come forth? In fact, especially with the other areas which the chair has just mentioned, which are not part of Mau, but also need to be conserved. Why should these people be asked to come forth while you have all the government machinery? You can use the Kenya Gazette, you can use the dailies to publish all the names of these people or individuals who are having these fake titles. Why don't you do that? Thank you, Chair.
On top of the titles, I think he's very keen in terms of the letters of
live in good environment, their right to shelter, their right to water, their right to food. It may be very difficult to enforce those rights, but in the Chapter 3 of our Constitution, and I'm sure you know that as a very prominent lawyer. I'm not talking of these landlords or these rich people in Mau. I'm talking of those quarters, those poor people. While you have all the reasons and the passion to evict them, these being Kenyans, as a government, we have a duty to these people, even under the Constitution. Do you have any plans for these people? Even these two schools that we are going to close down, these are Kenyan children. And they have right to education. We are trying to ensure full enrollment in this country for all our students. Yes, we are in concurrence, evict them. But as a government, do you care about these Kenyans at all? Do you have any plans for them as you move them out of this forest? That was never addressed. You know, and
hectares. Today, Tobiko has taken 2.5 hours to explain about the Maasai Mau Forest, which is one of the block, which is roughly 11%. Thank you, that was a good position. Let me say this, Chairman. Why this country will never win the matters of conservation? It is because of the leaders have always ill motives. They don't have a sincere heart to save this country. I know you always sing that song, but I appreciate your idea. Why I'm saying that, Chairman, it is because today a minister appointed by the president of this country confirms that we have illegal, he has referred these title deeds given by the government of this country as illegal, null and void. That is wrong, Mr. CS. Mr. CS, why you shall never win the case of conservation in this country and get that point from a champion of conservation who is owning a national trophy awarded to her 2015. It's because your procedure is very wrong. The second thing, CS, you have ignored the local leaders in this country. You have refused to involve the respective stakeholders on the matters of conservation. Therefore, Mr. CS, in the entire process, because you have ignored the public participation, you have ignored the leaders' involvement, you have refused to give the right information to the people to be affected in the right time, because you have failed the civic education. And Mr. CS, let me say this, I'm not a lawyer, but I know with the international law, there is a procedure. And let me confirm this. Any forced evictions always come with a big amount, big compact of effect to people who are affected. Therefore, when I'm mentioning the international law, Mr. CS, it is because that is your profession. What I'm saying today, CS, if Kenya is not keen with the wrong procedures you're imposing, this country is going to attract the international eyes to see that you are going to commit the crime of inhumanity in the world. Mr. CS.
The International Conservation Trophy, and I also give her the leeway because it's a Meru.
Kinusi has talked about the tribes and ABCD. So proceed, Honorable Tobiko, and thanks so much for your business.
Yes, thank you, Chair. And wholly and solely on validity of title. There cannot be in the Constitution, in the law, the right to compensate for a fraudulent, illegal title.
Chair, that is where, Chair, 1 minute, Chair. Chair, that is why the CS did not answer my first question.
Hilary, just hold on.
No.
CS, just wait, Hilary, just wait.
Yeah.
CS, I just want to concur with what Mheshimiwa Hilary is talking about.
Yes.
Kindly try to educate us in terms of the nullification or revocation of a title. Things stand now, these 700 plus, they are holding titles. Purported illegal titles.
Yes.
But they are not being revoked.
Yes.
Are they being revoked?
You don't actually need to revoke a title.
You have to revoke themselves.
There are pieces of let me just I didn't want to. There are pieces of paper.
Who has proven that? They have to be proved by a court of law.
Read Article 40.
No, it has to be proved by a court of law. You don't just work out the claim.
Just hold on.
This guy is not a court of law. You cannot just throw words here. We deal with the issue of titles correctly. We were going on well. Don't believe you are sitting on banners.
No, title deed cannot be papers.
No, Charity.
Don't believe.
Excuse me, Chair.
Members are coming to the end of this meeting.
To talk to people politically.
We are coming, members on that.
No, there is no title that is fake.
Titles cannot be papers.
Just hold on.
Even if titles are fake, it is not supposed to be declared.
It is so clear that I'm here for their political interest.
Members, sawa, Charity.
When the buildings of those Indians went down, were they asked for titles?
I don't want to be guided on how to
Titles cannot be papers.
No, just hold on,
Titles cannot be papers.
Charity,
Chapter
I will
closed.
throw you out.
It's okay, Chairman, but titles cannot be papers.
On a point of order, Chair. On a point of order, Chair. No, just hold on. I don't want any point of order. You know, you are talking in terms of procedure. And as much as we may not get the right answer from UCS, we are going to invite the Cabinet Secretary in charge of lands so that he can be able to come and clarify in terms of the validity of the title. Because we wanted to know the process of revocation. As much as it could have been obtained from entry or from the word go, you are not supposed to have it. But the fact remains that you have a legal government document. So what we are asking, what is the process of cancelling it? Just the process of cancelling it.
Chairman,
so you can become more enlightened.
Chair, you have ruled nice. The competent person is the CS for Ministry of Land. He cannot give us a position. We have the Constitution, we can read it. We can read the Constitution. We have it in our hands.
We don't need more
What we do is this.
Tobiko cannot tell us that
Charity, I don't want really to say, you know, the most unfortunate thing that my sister here, he comes from Moro, and we don't know even the validity of his land. So what you can do on a CS, because the thing is a bit conflicted, you have done your part. You are going to invite the Minister of Lands and Settlement so that they can really be able to clarify the process of cancellation of the titles. So don't dwell on that. Maybe you can be able to dwell on the others. You are going to seek opinion from the Attorney General and the rest of government agencies, and then we close the matter there. Because now whatever you say, people will say you are conflicted and you are giving out your personal position. But you are going to get it from the Attorney General and other government agencies. So let's just close on that, Mr. Leader.
Yeah, thank you, Chair, for giving the opportunity. Chair, from where I sit, the reasons why there is compensation is from very many reasons. Chair, if you remember, we gave compensation to IDPs just not long ago. We gave them land and today they are staying. Now, when we look at the humanitarian aspect, given that the government was one of the players in this case, Chair, I think it is important that we consider. Chair, as I finish, it is not up to the CS to decide whether they are going to be compensated or not. Chair, it is up to this Parliament. Parliament has the authority to pass a bill here, a motion on whether the people, the Mau victims can be compensated or not. And also this Parliament and this committee has the authority by law to apportion the money, to allocate money that will then go ahead to allocate these people. Therefore, I think I want to beseech you, Chair, in as much as you said that no point of order. I wanted to request, if you can ask the CS to withdraw his standpoint, position of no compensation, because he does not have that legal backing. It is not him to decide whether there's no compensation or if there will be compensation. It is up to Parliament, which this committee represents, Chair.
Chairman, before you declare that, let me say this. Chairman, please. Chairman, I hold no title in Parliament, but let me say this. Ignorance is no defense. And this is what I want to say. When we watch the buildings of those investors coming down because of riparian land, they also had documents that were given by government officials. Were they ever compensated? Were they compensated? So now, Hillary is busy telling me 2 wrongs don't make a right. So the one happening in Mau is the one that will not make that right. So when Kenya is one, and Kenyans are one people governed under one law, you cannot bend a law because people come from your area. If the law was ignorance is no defense, and even in that riparian case, there were officials of government involved, what then are you telling us? Why is it wrong? Because they are poor Kenyans and rich Kenyans.
I think what you can do for my honourable members, the way forward is this, is that the issues of the validity of titles, we are going to leave it to other government agencies. Basically, the Attorney General and the Minister of Land and Settlement. They are going to give us the process of revocation of the title. That is number one. Number two is that we invited the Cabinet Secretary to come and shed light to us. He has given us his position as the executive. It will be the incumbent upon this committee to do its report. File the report, table it in the House, and if I thought the House will be able to adapt the report in the wisdom of this committee, then we will have done our part. But we cannot really come here and be able to advise the Cabinet Secretary if at all you're going to compensate or you won't compensate. He has come out clearly from where he sits as the Cabinet Secretary in charge of Environment and Forestry, no compensation. That is the position of the Cabinet Secretary. But we as a committee, we are going to come up with our position in our report. And I'm going to end the story there. So I think, no, I have just concluded that you cannot just come there after the next one. Who is making noise? No, who is making noise now? Yeah. So honourable members, I think we are coming so far. It's only the question of the issues of the titles, the process of revocations and all those things. Whether they are titles, whether they are tissue papers, and if it's in the illegal amnesia. And so honourable members, we need to come to the tail end, and I want to invite the Cabinet Secretary to give you a parting shot, and then from there we can be able to move on.